There is no movie franchise more doggedly obsessed over than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And considering the sheer vastness of the enterprise, that really shouldn't be surprising. If superhero movies were once an embarrassing paycheck assignment for A-list actors, the MCU has helped validate them as genuinely gainful employment for Hollywood's elite. And so just about everybody is eager to climb aboard the gravy train. Given the many MCU movies and TV shows in the earlier stages of production at any moment in time, fans absolutely love to speculate on who could end up playing iconic comic book heroes on the big and small screen. Now, most of the time these speculations are just silly or wildly off the mark, but every so often, fans and supposed industry insiders actually get things right. So with that in mind then, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 10 MCU castings everyone expects to happen. Number 10, Glenn Powell as Cyclops. There's no denying that Glenn Powell was an absolute show stealer as Hangman in Top Gun Maverick this past summer. And so it wasn't long before rumours started doing the rounds that Marvel had secretly cast him as Cyclops in their upcoming iteration of the X-Men. Now, while many fans expected Powell to be announced in earnest by Marvel Studios at Comic-Con back in July, that never happened, and yet that did absolutely nothing to dismiss this popular belief that he will eventually be revealed as the MCU's version of Scott Summers. For his part, Powell has played it coy, declaring absolute ignorance about his casting in interviews, saying, "Nobody's called me. I don't even have contact info for Marvel, so I have no idea what people are talking about." Given Marvel Studios' extreme secrecy surrounding the majority of their projects though, it wouldn't be the first time that an actor has straight up lied about their involvement. Andrew Garfield, anyone? So actually most fans still believe that he has indeed nabbed the role of Cyclops. Number 9, Jodie Comer as Sue Storm. One of the biggest MCU question marks at the moment pertains to the Fantastic Four. And given that their debut film is set to be released on the 8th of November 2024, it shouldn't be too long at all before we get an official casting announcement. Though fans have long clamoured for Emily Blunt to be cast in the role of Sue Storm / the Invisible Woman, alongside her husband John Krasinski as Reed Richards or Mr. Fantastic, recent scuttlebutt indicates that Kevin Feige has gone in another direction entirely. In recent weeks, persistent rumours have suggested that Killing Eve star Jodie Comer has in fact won the Sue Storm role, with an industry reporter claiming to have corroborated the news from several sources close to the project. Now, given that Comer is a massive on-the-rise star and an extremely talented actress, she'd certainly be a major credit for the MCU. And she certainly fits all of the requirements to do justice to Sue Storm. If it doesn't happen at this point, it would genuinely be quite surprising. Number 8, Corey Stoll as MODOK. At Comic-Con back in July, the rumours were finally confirmed to be true that the iconic supervillain MODOK will be making an appearance in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And while an official casting announcement hasn't been made as of yet, that only really adds credibility to the long-standing rumour that MODOK will be played by none other than Corey Stoll. Stoll, of course, played villain Darren Cross, aka Yellowjacket, in the first Ant-Man film, and though he seemingly perished at Scott Lang's hand, it's been suggested that his uncontrollable shrinking may simply have mutated his body in a grotesque way. This would explain why he would now sport MODOK's famously disproportionate limbs and large head for one, and also offer a tidy origin story for the character that would make sense within the context of the trilogy. Now, given that rumours began swirling over a year ago that Stoll would reprise his Yellowjacket role in the movie in some shape, it makes all the sense in the world that he'll come back as the deeply mutated super genius. Number 7, Penn Badgley as Reed Richards. The search for the MCU's Reed Richards has perhaps been the franchise's single most discussed casting hunt of recent times. And though John Krasinski has been a hotly tipped favourite for years, his recent appearance as a Reed Richards variant in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness casts doubt on that. Now, it remains to be seen whether Kevin Feige simply cast Krasinski in this ill-fated role as a one-off wink to those fans eager to see him in the part, or whether he was actually teeing him up to legitimately play the prime version of Mr. Fantastic. Now, unfortunately, most of the signs suggest that Krasinski will not be playing the role moving forward, especially considering all the rumours that actually the role will instead be played by star Penn Badgley. Numerous insiders have pointed to Badgley either being down to the final few actors vying for the role or having already won it outright. And given the consistent acclaim he's received for his work on You, he'd certainly be an inspired, slightly unexpected choice for Reed Richards. It is incredibly easy to picture him and Jodie Comer as the superhero power couple, so there's no reason to doubt that this announcement could be made soon. Number 6. Henry Cavill as Hyperion. In recent weeks, a list of actors who have apparently signed up for the MCU has been circulating online. And one of the most exciting and downright plausible names? Henry Cavill. Now, if this list is to be believed, then Cavill has already signed up to play an upcoming role in either a film or Disney Plus series. And two of the most cited possibilities are Captain Britain or Hyperion. Given that Captain Britain is a buff British dude and Hyperion is effectively Marvel's parody of Superman, it's easy to see how Cavill would fit both parts like a glove. And while Hyperion might seem a little too nudgingly self-aware for the MCU, given that Cavill was never really given his full due as Superman in the DC Extended Universe, it's easy to appreciate his desire to step into the boots of a similar character in an altogether sturdier enterprise. Now, of course, it's also possible that Kevin Feige could throw in a complete curveball and Cavill could be playing a completely different character. But the appeal of Cavill's Hyperion bro-out with Thor just speaks for itself. Number 5. Norman Reedus as Ghost Rider. Fans have been hoping to see Ghost Rider show up in the MCU for quite some time now, especially given a certain note-perfect piece of fan casting that easily sells itself. The Walking Dead's Norman Reedus has been right at the top of most fans' casting list for Ghost Rider for literally years at this point. Because let's face it, Norman Reedus has basically been auditioning for the part his entire life. Between his badass look and real-life love of motorcycles, Reedus fits Johnny Blaze to the letter, and considering his off-stated enthusiasm for the character, his desire to play the part evidently hasn't waned one bit over the years. Sometimes fan castings can feel obvious and lazy, and sometimes they can hit the nail right on the head, and in this case, it is most certainly the latter. Number 4. Taron Egerton as Wolverine. Perhaps the single toughest character to recast in the MCU is Wolverine, given that Hugh Jackman has played the role for over 20 years and in turn given one of the greatest performances in the history of superhero movies. Jackman is Wolverine to a lot of people, and so finding somebody to replace him in the MCU is going to be a bit of a thankless task. Numerous actors have been mentioned over the years, such as Tom Hardy and even Daniel Radcliffe more recently, but the one that's actually made a dent with fans? Taron Egerton. Though the Kingsman star has cut a fairly svelte stature in most of his acting roles, his recent performance in Apple's brilliant crime drama series Blackbird proved he can certainly attain a ripped physique worthy of Logan. As difficult as it'd be to fill Jackman's shoes, Egerton's casting has received the blessing from regular MCU director Joe Russo and also X-Men First Class director Matthew Vaughn, who worked with Egerton on the Kingsman films. Though Egerton confirmed that he did meet with Kevin Feige in 2018, he recently stated that nothing has been set in stone with regards to him playing an MCU character, but he remains hopeful that he will get a shot at the Wolverine role. Number 3. Lake Bell as Lucia von Bardas. While Black Panther Wakanda Forever was filming last year in Atlanta, actress Lake Bell was spotted on the movie's set. And considering that she was wearing a large clothing-concealing coat, it didn't take much deduction to figure out that she was playing a juicy, secretive role in the sequel. Rumours soon began to spread that Bell would be playing Lucia von Bardas, who in the Fantastic Four comics served as the Prime Minister of Latveria for Doctor Doom. Given that Doom is widely rumoured to be referenced in some manner in Wakanda Forever, forever and possibly even make a cameo, in order to set the stage for 2024's Fantastic Four movie, it'd certainly make sense for Von BARDAS to show up. Though more recent rumours have pointed to Belle possibly playing an entirely original character called Dr. Graham, it would be totally on brand for the MCU to have Von BARDAS hidden in plain sight under a pseudonym, only to reveal her true presence later in the story. And thankfully, we actually don't have to wait that long to find out. Number 2. Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X. There's perhaps no MCU casting rumour more concrete than the widely accepted belief that Breaking Bad's Giancarlo Esposito has been cast as the MCU's version of Professor Charles Xavier. In a recent interview, Esposito confirmed that he had met with Marvel Studios about possibly working together in the future, and when discussing what roles he would like to play within the MCU, he stated that he had his sights set on Professor X. Now, conventional Hollywood wisdom would suggest that publicly stating your enthusiasm for a role is an easy way to take yourself out of the running. But Kevin Feige and company may well make an exception for an actor as respected as Esposito, who would certainly bring a unique gravitas to the role of Charles Xavier. While we may not hear an official casting announcement for some time, there's very little chance that Esposito isn't in heavy consideration for the part at least, and his casting would certainly make most fans incredibly happy. Number 1. Joe Keery as Johnny Storm. Tempting though it is to roll your eyes at the possibility of any of the Stranger Things stars being cast in the MCU, there is one actor who would be quite the perfect fit for a currently uncast role that needs to be imminently filled. Joe Keery has been talked up a lot in recent months for the role of the Fantastic Four's Johnny Storm / the Human Torch. And if the MCU's version of the character sticks to the relatively cocky and outspoken iterations previously played by Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan, then Keery's a dead-on choice. Keery's performance as Steve Harrington in Stranger Things proves he can play an initially off-putting character who the audience slowly warms to. And it isn't tough to picture him as the difficult younger brother of Jodie Comer's Sue Storm either. This is admittedly one of the more contested Fantastic Four roles up for grabs, but Keery is certainly at the top of the pack right now, and so it wouldn't actually be that surprising to many people if he did end up being cast. And that concludes our list. If you have a different suggestion, then do let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.